She was always smiling. She was just full of life, full of fun, full of cheek, full of banter. Just giddy all the time.
On the 24th of August 1996, a 14-year-old girl went out to meet her then boyfriend. She did not return home and was found the next day, and she was dead.
Morning.
Call the Diet, His Majesty's Advocate against Robert O'Brien, Andrew Kelly and Donna Marie Brand. Please take a seat.
Yes, who appears?
My Lord, I appear on behalf of the first named accused, Robert O'Brien. My Lord, Mr. O'Brien pleads not guilty. Senior counsel is Mr. Dogood, KC.
In this case, the allegation of murder is from 1996. One of the questions is, why has this never come to a trial before now? If you call it a cold case, it's a cold case but with nothing really to warm it up in terms of the advance of scientific technology.
Thank you. Mr. Ranucci.
My Lord, I appear on behalf of Mr. Kelly, together with my learned friend Miss McTaggart. He pleads not guilty and the defence are ready for trial.
Thank you.
A trial is really the test of the Crown case. That is the only issue at trial. Can the Crown prove the charge against the accused? They have the weight of the state against them, really. And the worst case scenario in any trial would be that someone is convicted who is innocent.
Ms. Forrest.
Good morning, my Lord. I am instructed to appear on behalf of the third named accused, Donna Marie Brand. She pleads not guilty and we're ready for trial. Senior counsel is Mr. Thomas Rose, KC.
Thank you.
The fact that there is more than one accused is seldom an advantage to any individual accused. Should that person take the blame for something that somebody else did? Or is it fair to say, well, it's only the person who actually did the act who should take responsibility? And it's 15 members of the public who are trying to separate that out.
So, members of the jury, you are being asked to perform what is, I think, the most important service to your community. We don't have opening speeches in our Scottish system. We simply go straight into the evidence. So the Advocate Depute will begin by leading the evidence for the Crown. Advocate Depute.
Thank you, my Lord. The first witness is Margaret McKeach. Margaret McKeach, Caroline's mother, is the first witness in the case, partly to set the scene, partly to assist the jury in understanding some of the relationships and who people are.
Raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That I will tell the truth.
That I will tell the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Advocate Depute.
Thank you, my Lord. Could we put the computer on the public screens, please? Do you recognise their two photographs of
I do.
Caroline?
Yes.
In August of 1996, Caroline would be 14 years of age, is that correct?
Yes.
Did she have a circle of friends?
She did, yes.
Who in particular was friendly with her?
There was Joanne Menzies.
Did you know of a man called Robbie O'Brien?
Yes.
How did you know of him?
Through Caroline.
Was Caroline in any form of relationship with Robbie O'Brien?
I think she was quite infatuated with him. She was staying with him, yeah.
How old was Robbie O'Brien?
18 years old. I did have words with him about that.
What did you do?
I just asked him what he thought he was playing at with a 14-year-old girl. That I wasn't happy about him, that he should stay away from her.
Now, am I right in saying that in 1996, the 25th of August would have been your 40th birthday, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you have any plan at all with regard to that weekend?
We were going to go out for a few drinks.
Yes.
To celebrate. I said to Caroline I was going out for a few hours.
Right.
She asked me if Joanne could come and stay the night. And I said, yes, of course.
And was that the sort of thing she'd done before?
She had, yes.
And was Joanne someone you trusted?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. When you arrived home, did you look to see who was in your home?
I did.
Who
Looked
did you
in
find?
the bedroom and I saw Joanne. I didn't see Caroline. I spoke to Joanne and asked her where Caroline was.
Right. Did she tell you?
Yes. She went down to the Renton.
She went down to the Renton?
Yes.
And the Renton is an area on the other side of the river, is that right?
That's correct.
Did you have any idea why she would be going down to the Renton?
Well, it would only be to see Robbie and his friends.
Did you think any more of it at that time or not?
I did. I sat, I waited. I phoned round friends,
Right.
and then ultimately the police.
Did you receive bad news that day?
I did.
When was that?
It was in late afternoon.
And who gave you that news?
The police,
What did they tell you?
that they had found a body. Going by the description that it could be Caroline, but I needed to identify her body.
Did you identify your daughter?
I did.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any cross-examination, Mr. Duguid?
I do, please. Thank you. Cross-examination is something which can be very difficult. To have Caroline's mother in the witness box is a difficult job. She was the most deserving of sympathies, but when your instructions are as they are, then you have to serve the best interests of your client rather than come across as a nice person.
Mrs. McKeach, I know you've been speaking about your 14-year-old daughter and August of 1996. And am I right in thinking that around that time, there had been a couple of instances when Caroline had stayed out and hadn't come home? Would that be correct?
That would be correct, yes.
Now, on the occasion of your birthday, I think you noticed that your bank card was missing. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did you ask Caroline whether she had your bank card?
She did have it.
And am I also correct in thinking that you'd had a conversation with Caroline about heroin?
I did, yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. She told me she had tried, but she didn't like it.
Did you ever associate the absence of your bank card with the prospect of heroin being bought?
No.
I think she was also in the habit of wearing jewellery, and in fact, quite liked wearing your jewellery. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And did some of your jewellery go missing?
It did.
So if I understand correctly, Mrs. McKeach, around the time of her death, there were a number of things going on in her life which perhaps she wasn't being entirely honest about in her explanations to you. Is that fair?
That's fair. Be fair of most teenagers.
Thank you very much.
In this case, the essential part is that the three accused persons have all got the same alibi. They were in the same house during the period when the crime was alleged to have been committed. The alibi is saying, we are not the people who've committed this crime because we were elsewhere and somebody else was responsible for her murder.
Thank you, Mr Ranucci.
No, thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Mr Ross.
No question, thank you, Lord. When you're representing the third accused in a trial, then often the more relevant points have been already made. So you don't get up unless it's necessary and you're confident you can make things better.
Thank you very much then, Mrs McKeach. There are no further questions for you. That's you free to go. Thank you very much for giving evidence.
The Crown case is that Caroline Glachan was in a relationship with Robbie O'Brien, who at the same time was in a relationship with Donna Brand. And what appears to have happened is that an arrangement was made for Caroline to meet with Robbie O'Brien. But in addition, Donna Brand, Andrew Kelly and Sarah Jane O'Neill were also present. And the Crown case is that all four would have been responsible, but Sarah Jane O'Neill has since died, so the three accused are now on trial for Caroline's murder. I'm going to call the person who found Caroline in the water. That's to set the scene of where we say the murder was committed. I'd like to ask you about the events of Sunday, the 25th of August 1996. At some point in that afternoon, did you find yourself near the River Leven?
It was 3:15. Know what I mean? I know that bang on. When I was going round to the water onto the path, I just seen the black hair, which will never leave me. Then I noticed the trainers, because they were brand new.
Yes. I'd like to show you a map. Do you see the River Leven meandering its way?
All the way around, aye.
Now, do you see there's a circle there with an arrow and a box that said Black Bridge?
Yes.
Was there a bridge known as the Black Bridge at that?
There was, yes.
I think it's no longer there, is that right?
Yeah, it's no, yeah.
Is that roughly where the body was found, on the river?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr Mullen. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Cross-examination, Mr Dogood.
I have a few questions, thank you.
Now, Mr Mullen, I just have a few questions about, I suppose, the drug scene in 1996 in the Renton. And please don't think any of these questions are trying to embarrass you, but I know that you'd been an addict. Is that right?
Well, once you're an addict, you're always an addict.
Were you addicted to heroin?
Yes. I used to sell it.
Okay. On the matter of walking around the street with quantities of heroin in your possession...
I didn't see the Renton, you didn't need to walk about the street. You just had to sit somewhere. People would just pull up, boom, boom, boom. Know what I mean? You could sell 10 bags within 10 minutes.
When you were carrying heroin, where did you carry it?
In my mouth.
Inside your mouth?
Yeah.
Now, I take it the reason for all that would be if somebody stops you, like a police officer, and wants to search you, then they're not readily going to find a quantity of drugs, unless they choose to look inside your mouth. Is that right?
Well, I would have swallowed it.
Sorry?
I would have swallowed it. Because when you wrap it up tight and you wrap it up well.
Did you ever hide it in your shoes?
No.
All right.
It's hard to put your finger on what was happening back then, but in the end of the day, it's about a girl being murdered at the side of a river, and there was a backdrop of people making money out of the terrible trade in controlled drugs. The number of young people involved in it was quite shocking, really.
The police have described the killing as seemingly motiveless, but the area where Caroline's body was found is said to be a favourite haunt of drug abusers.
The murder of a child in any community causes extreme distress which lasts for decades. So there was a real desire for the police to identify those responsible and bring them to justice.
Caroline was last seen alive at shops in her hometown Bonhill. It's known she was heading for Renton on the other side of the river, but after that all police are disclosing is the fact that passers-by found her body.
At the time, there was a significant investigation, but it didn't yield sufficient evidence.
Detectives are still utterly baffled by the apparently motiveless killing here of Caroline Glachan. They're also confused by the public apathy shown in this case.
This is a case which we thought would be worthwhile looking at again. So the police did a complete rework of the whole case.
Caroline was only 14, Robbie O'Brien was 18. He is also in a relationship with Donna Brand, and Donna Brand at that time is pregnant to Robbie O'Brien. A lot of the witnesses that would have been in their lives at that point were obviously of those kind of ages and involved in the drug scene. So you have that reluctance to speak to the police. People don't want to be seen to be a grass. And when you look at the people who were involved, maybe some people felt intimidated that if they spoke out, would that bring trouble to them. I think, you know, the original inquiry team faced those kind of barriers, whereas we're coming into it years later and times have changed, people have grown up, allegiances have changed. The 4 people as it was, although there's only 3 standing trial, had been in the original inquiry, but there wasn't the evidence there that we have to be able to put them to court at that time.
Court!
When you have more than one accused, and in this case we have 3 accused in the dock, in one sense there are 3 separate trials running, and I have to think carefully about building a case against each separate accused. You would be aware that Caroline's body was found in the River Leven, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
That was a Sunday. When was the time before the Sunday that you saw Caroline?
On Saturday night.
The Saturday the 24th?
Yeah.
Where did you see her?
Renton. She came at my dad's door.
Did she indicate she was going to meet anyone?
Yeah, Robbie.
Did Caroline say anything about being pregnant to you?
That wasn't at that point, no, it was before that.
Do you remember the police asking you about this in 2020?
Vaguely, yeah.
Vaguely, all right. Could you have before you production 96? Does it say this? We sat in the house and I remember her telling me that she had told Robbie O'Brien that she was pregnant.
Yes.
She was really excited at meeting him later. Does it say that in the statement?
Yes.
Did you say that to the police?
Yes.
Robbie O'Brien was seeing Donna Brand as well as Caroline, is that correct?
Yes.
What was Donna's reaction to the fact that Robbie was seeing Caroline?
She just wasn't happy and she was going to batter her.
Right. Donna said that?
Yeah.
Donna was not happy and she was
Yes.
going to batter her?
Yes.
And when you say her, who do you mean?
Caroline.
Did she give a reason for that?
I think it was just because they were seeing the same man.
Right. And just finally, would it be fair to say that among some within the community life in 1996 was an ongoing cycle of drug taking and stealing from shops and selling things?
Always, that's what we've done for it. We've done it, always done it.
Yeah. And as a consequence of that, was it the done thing to speak to the police?
No.
Thank you.
Probably the witness who has given a number of contradictory accounts is the easiest witness to deal with. And if you start in an area where the witness knows that she's said contradictory things, then the jury might be thinking, well, how can we really depend on anything that this witness has said? 28th of August 1996. That's when you first gave a statement to the police, wasn't it?
Well, it says here, yeah.
Does it read, I last saw Caroline last Tuesday or Wednesday in Renton at the shops and I spent some time talking to her? Does it say that?
Yes, but see, at that time I was a drug addict and we weren't being honest where we were and all that because police were looking for us.
So, at the time you knew when you were giving this statement that Caroline had been at your dad's house in the Renton on the Saturday night, is that correct?
That's correct.
And when you were asked about it on the Wednesday, you just sat there with the police and lied your head off, didn't you?
No, actually, most of the questions I remained silent as well. Back then, I was scared of the gang in case they got done in. I apologised to Caroline's family. I can't say anything else. I lied.
And you never mentioned it to anyone in authority until 2020.
Correct.
You see, I represent Donna Brand, and that's really what all this is about, that ultimately the ladies and gentlemen will have to wrestle with this question. How much can a heroin addict remember all these years after the event? That would be a fair question, wouldn't it?
Facts and traumas.
Could you have a look for me, please, at the second page of that statement? Does it read, "There was no hassle between Caroline or Donna that I was aware of"?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Advocate Deputy, re-examination.
Thank you, my lord. So I just want to clarify, you told us Donna Brand had made a threat. Is that the truth?
Donna Brand was angry, as she would be if somebody was seeing a man.
Thank you.
This is the area where the witnesses have found Caroline. So what we know from the reinvestigation is that Caroline believed that she was pregnant, and you've got that whole complex relationship between him seeing both Caroline and Donna, potentially believing that both of them were then pregnant, and Donna finding that out as well. Is that the catalyst for the confrontation?
These are Caroline in a school photo. That was the last. That was when she was 14. So that's basically the last photo that I've got of her. She liked the camera. She would just stop. You know, she had a great smile. Everybody thinks she had a great smile. Very loving, very caring. She would go out with her friends, but she would stop in at my mum's, make my mum a cup of tea, take her yum-yums, see how she was doing, and then go back out with her friends. She was spoiled. I would say she was probably spoiled because she is, or was, my only child. I lost 5 before I had Caroline, so she was special in a lot of ways. Even in days when there's a bit of joy or something nice happens, it's always tinged, because there's always that bit there was, she's not here.
Good morning, members of the jury. And welcome back to day 2 of the trial. We've got a lot to get through, so Advocate Depute.
Thank you, my lord. The next witness was a police diver at the time, and this evidence will relate to the recovery of the body of Caroline Glachan, and I propose to show a film of that event. I've, of course, given careful thought as to whether it's truly necessary, but in my view it is. It's distressing viewing, but I just make that known to everybody.
Yes, well, if anyone wishes to leave, obviously they may do so. Members of the jury, you should only have to see it once.
The circumstances surrounding the death of Caroline Glachan are truly horrific. What we say is that the 3 accused, and there would have been a 4th, all met Caroline Glachan. She was attacked in their presence, and after the attack, Caroline Glachan was left face down in the River Leven. On Sunday, the 25th of August 1996, were you part of a 3-man team requested to attend at the River Leven at Renton?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of that?
It was to recover a body from the river,
right,
and carry out a search for any evidence.
Right, I'd like to show a film, Recovery of Body, River Leven. Could we put the laptop on, please? Do you see there an image of a body in the river?
Yes.
And is that what you saw on that occasion?
Yes, it is.
Can we see there the body appears to be face down in the water?
Yes.
That plays a lot in my mind. I mean, what was her last moments? And guilt plays a lot in my mind. Where was I when she needed me? I'm her mother. But you can't protect them all the time. And sort of logic side of me says that, but I should have been there.
What the Crown has to prove in this case, first of all, is that murder was committed. The second thing that has to be proved is that the accused were responsible. Now, where you have a number of accused, each of those accused may have different roles in the commission of the murder. I'm going to call the pathologist who will be able to tell us what the examination of the body revealed.
At post-mortem examination, her lungs showed classical features of drowning. In addition, she had a significant head injury, with a number of blunt force type injuries to the face and scalp. These included a group of injuries over the left side of the forehead, which would be consistent with a number of blows with a long, narrow, blunt weapon, and over the right side of the face, which would suggest a single blow with such a weapon. It is likely that the head injury caused her to lose consciousness, with immersion in the water resulting in drowning. There was no evidence of alcohol or drug intoxication, and there was no natural disease that could have caused or contributed to her death.
Were there fractures in the underlying skull?
There were extensive fractures of her skull.
Were you able to determine if she was pregnant?
There was no indication of that at all. We examined in detail. There was no indication of any pregnancy.
Thank you. And you also told us a moment ago that it is likely that the head injury would cause her to lose consciousness, and that's resulted in drowning. Is that correct?
Yes, it indicates that she was still alive when she was in the water, and that drowning has been the ultimate explanation for her death.
Thank you very much. Caroline Glachan was alive when she went into the water. The person that yielded the blows to her head is not solely responsible for the death. They all left her. No one sought to take her out of the water and assist her, and in due course I will suggest that that's significant.
Marjorie Turner gave evidence about a skull fracture, and it occurred to me perhaps that it was maybe less likely that Donna Brand at the time would have had the strength to have caused a skull fracture.
Dr. Turner, it's right to say that the skull is designed to provide protection to the brain, is that correct?
Yes.
And it requires a certain degree of force to occasion a fracture to the skull, is that correct?
Yes.
But I suppose it must be the case that the stronger the individual who's administering the blows, the more likely it is to result in a skull fracture.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm not saying that any of the co-accused did it, but is it something that would have been caused by 17-year-old Donna Brand?
Were you a close friend of Caroline Glachan?
Yeah, I was her best friend, yeah.
And would you do the sort of things teenagers would do together?
Yeah, we would go out, or we would go up into Caroline's house with her mum. Yeah. And she would make my dinner and I'd stay over.
And were boys of an interest round when you were 15 and she was 14?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Was Caroline friendly with any boys in particular?
Robert O'Brien.
Robert O'Brien?
Yes.
Would you recognise him if you saw him after
Yes.
this time? Do you see him in court?
Yes, I can see
And
him.
please point to him, please.
He's right there.
He was a little older than Caroline at the time, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. From your friendship with Caroline, did you get any sense of how the relationship between Robbie and Caroline was?
Quite violent.
In what way?
On numerous occasions I stopped him attacking her. I would attack her, bully her.
What would he do?
Grab her neck and slam her into the wall.
Did she say anything about a possible consequence if she kissed somebody else?
He would kill her. The violence was getting worse.
Now, I'd like to ask you about Saturday, the 24th of August, 1996. Did Caroline say what she was planning to do that evening?
She said she was going to go and visit Robbie and then be back home for two in the morning before her mum came home.
Right. Did she say where?
He was going to meet her at the Black Bridge on the Bonhill side.
The Black Bridge?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to go to drone footage. Now, can we see the river?
Yeah, and then the Black Bridge would be straight across there.
Yeah. And there are pillars there, is that
Yeah,
where
the
Black
pillar's still
Bridge
there,
was?
yeah. Yeah. That's the Leydon shops.
Yes.
That's where I left Caroline.
Yeah. Was your anticipation then that you would go to Caroline's mum's house, you'd let yourself in with the keys Caroline gave you?
Yes.
You would wait on her coming in, which she said would be about 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And were you hoping that Caroline would turn up before her mother came home?
Because Margaret was like a mother to me, so and I didn't want to row off Margaret when she came in.
Okay. Did you come to learn that a body had been found in the River Leven?
Yes. They said it was Caroline.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Cross-examination, Mr. Dogood.
Yes.
After she had been discovered as having been murdered, you were interviewed by the police a number of times, is that correct?
Lots of times, yeah.
The first interview was on the very day itself, the 25th of August.
Yes.
Would that be correct?
Yes.
But one of the things I wanted to ask you about was you said that her involvement with the controlled drug heroin was a bad thing for her. Is that right?
Yes. She wasn't a full-blown addict.
But it sounds like she had started out on heroin before she'd ever met Mr. O'Brien.
No.
Well, you're saying no, but did you not explain that very thing to the police?
When?
I'm not trying to catch you out, by the way. I'm just asking you about things you've previously indicated to the police, I assume were true. So what are you saying? He's got her into drugs?
I don't know who got her into drugs.
Let's supposing she'd gone to buy a quantity of drugs, say a £10 bag or £20 worth of drugs. What would she be doing with the drugs? And you were asked about that
She'd have
by
put
the
it in her
police,
trainer.
weren't you?
She'd have put it in her trainer.
Sorry?
She probably would have put it in her trainer or her bra.
So she'd put it in her bra or in her trainer?
Yes.
Did you know she was found with no trainers on?
I found out after, yeah.
Caroline's trainers were found on the embankment, so they were not on her in the water. The defence will undoubtedly try to suggest a reason that it might be connected with drug taking or something.
Mr. O'Brien's position is he wasn't at the location when the crime was committed and that another person had been identified as acting suspiciously in the area and could have been involved in the murder.
So I want to ask you about somebody else altogether, somebody called George Graham. And George Graham is somebody about whom you spoke to the police on at least 3 occasions.
Yes.
Would that be correct?
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
And George Graham was somebody who knew Caroline Glachan, it seems. Is that right?
Yes, he would give her lifts down to Robbie, to see Robbie.
And what would George Graham's interest be in giving Caroline a lift, do you think?
I don't know, but I watched him doing it.
So what was it that caused you having to go to the police in 1997
George Graham said he'd never given any as a lift.
That's not the reason you went to the police in 1997, is it? That is not the reason you went to the police, is it?
People told me things but didn't want to get involved with the police, so I would contact the CID and tell them.
So people had told you things and you contacted the police, is that
Yeah,
right?
because I didn't like the police.
All right, thank you.
The police had recovered information from witnesses which pointed the finger towards that other person, and in the course of the trial, evidence will be led about how that other person could have been involved in the murder because of things he said and because of his movements on the night.
The police arrested George Graham in the earlier investigation partly because he appears to have confessed to the murder to a number of individuals. The defence, quite understandably, have brought him into this case, although he is now dead. But what they have done is lay the foundation to enable them to lead that evidence, and I will respond to that as best I can, depending on what they do.
Way back then, you hear a lot of rumours and things, and you don't know what's true and what's not. Back then, I was suspicious of everybody because you don't know. Although there was that 4 that was always in my mind. To see them as well, because it's a small place, so it's hard not to run into folk and to refrain from saying anything. Nobody would ever know what that takes. And I think it's just the hope that they would be caught. It was just getting proof.
In this case, all 3 accused have an alibi. They say they were in a flat babysitting, along with Sarah Jane O'Neill, and that they never left. But I see my task as undermining that alibi and demonstrating that it's not true. It is usually the case in murder prosecutions that you don't have eyewitnesses to the murder. This case is unusual in the sense that I suggest that a young boy called Archie was present when the murder was committed. He told his mother about the events down near the river. In August of 1996, if you wanted to go out somewhere, you would arrange for babysitting, is that correct?
Yes, every weekend I would get either Friday night off or a Saturday night off and they'd watch kids for me like we got to my sister's.
Right. Is your sister called Daisy?
Yes.
Right. Did you have any people in particular who would babysit for you?
There would always be Andy, who was amazing to my kids, and Sarah Jane.
Were Andy and Sarah Jane O'Neill in any kind of relationship you're aware of?
Boyfriend and girlfriend, but it was off and on, so...
OK. Would that involve sometimes that they would stay over?
Yes.
Now, I'd like to ask you about Saturday, the 24th of August, 1996.
Yep.
Was that an occasion where you had asked Andy and Sarah Jane to babysit for you?
Yes.
Right. Apart from Sarah Jane and Andy babysitting, did you expect anyone else to be in the house?
No.
Would you have agreed for someone else to be there?
No.
On this Sunday, when you went back to your home, tell us what you found.
But I knew Andy was there, but there was no Sarah Jane.
Right. Did you notice anything about the carpet?
Well, Andy told me that Archie peed on him.
He said Archie had peed on him.
And peed the floor as well.
Right.
So when he went away, I felt the carpet was ringing.
Ringing and
soaking wet.
Soaking wet. Tell us what Archie said about this.
Archie told me that he was down the leaving maiden, and it was because somebody was sitting on the floor, they were soaking.
Right. He was down the leaving?
Yes.
Right.
This is when we down there.
Yeah.
It's his last night, Mummy. I don't know what time.
Did he say what had happened?
He says he was down the leaving, Sarah Jane was there, Robbie was there, Donna was there, and they were fighting maybe a lassie and she ended up phoning the leaving. in the barge wee lassie.
When Archie said these things about being down the river, was that before or after you learned of a body being found?
That was before it.
Before?
Because when I found out, that's when I realised my Wayne had obviously been telling me the truth.
The timings of his disclosure to his mother are significant pieces of the evidence.
We know when she was discovered, and if he's able to tell his mother about events down at the river before Caroline's body is found, I would see that as being important.
There is some confusion as to how quickly after the event the wee boy gave his account. And if he's giving an account after news of the incident has leaked out into the community, then that weakens it. You gave some statements to the police way back in 1996, didn't you?
Oh.
And the first statement to the police is the best account that you could give as to what Archie had said and when he'd said it.
Yes.
And does it read, I asked him who else was in the house. Was Robbie's girlfriend in with him? And he said, aye, that they'd stayed and slept on the couch. He told me they'd been wrapping up tinfoil and lighting it. Then he looked a wee bit sorry and said Sarah Jane and Andy had told him not to tell Mummy, and let things go at that and didn't ask any more. And now you say, I left my house with the Waynes and we went up to Daisy's house, is that correct? Mm-hmm. That was about 7 or 8 p.m. or so. By then, I knew that Caroline's body had been found.
Oh.
So, would you agree with me that now you've had the chance to refresh your memory by reference to this statement?
Oh.
It doesn't look as if anything had been said about the leaving until Daisy came.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I suppose in a wee place like Bonhill, there was a lot of talk as to what had happened and what might have happened and that.
Yeah.
Would I be right about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're now at Daisy's house, I think, and you say, the thing that shocked me was Archie in Daisy's house, he said a male person had kicked a girl into the leaving and her leg was bleeding, is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The mother's evidence became that the wee boy had said to her that Donna Brand had battered the wee girl. But it was clear from her statements in 1996 that the mum had not given that account to the police. And by the end of it, his mother accepted that he couldn't have said that. If he had said it, she would have told the police. And therefore, that must have been something that she heard in the rumours which were going round the scheme after the incident.
Thank you. Advocate Depute, re-examination.
I do, my lord, thank you. It's always a challenge when there is inconsistency. Archie does not name Donna Brand, and that will be preyed upon by the defence. If we return to what you told us earlier about Archie talking about what happened at the leave-in when you were in the house with him just after Andy left.
Yes, because I was actually going to say that when the other wee man was speaking, because he put it across, too late to finish, he put it across that I didn't actually say anything to Archie until my sister came in the house. No, I'd already asked Archie before Daisy came down.
Yes. And did he tell you about something happening in the leave-in at that stage?
Yes, he did.
Yes. Was that before anyone told you a body had been found?
Aye.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is that me done?
Yes.
Generally speaking, witnesses to fact would come and give evidence in court. In this case, Archie grew up and has some medical issues which prevent him from being able to give evidence. However, the police interviewed Archie as a 4.5-year-old boy and filmed the interview. The importance of that is that the jury see firsthand the evidence of the young boy and can take account of the detail which he gave.
I can't think of an example where a boy of 4.5 was so absolutely key to the whole case.
I want to ask you about a police inquiry into the death of Caroline Glachan. Was that an inquiry that you were brought into?
That's correct, yes.
Now, as part of that inquiry, were you made aware of the desire to interview a young boy?
Yes, I was.
In those days, were there particular training given as to the best way to approach interviewing a child?
I certainly hadn't been given any.
All right, so were you dispatched to go and interview a child as best you could?
Yes, I was.
We'll play Archie interview.
You jump on the seat. Right, Archie, you know this is on the video, that's a video up there. You saw it, didn't you? Where'd you went? That's right. Right, Archie, do you remember when you told me Caroline was in the water? Can you tell me who was there?
Me,
Uh-huh.
Sarah Jane and Robbie,
Sarah Jane and Robbie.
Andy and Sarah.
Where were you?
In the living.
In the leaving.
Now what should I draw?
Draw me the picture of the leaving.
There's water.
And all the water.
Caroline, me, Bobby, Sarah, Jane.
Right, did you see what happened to Caroline?
No,
No?
that was my eyes.
Close your eyes. Why did you close your eyes?
All I wanted to.
Uh-huh.
But I saw the but when it got up, I didn't see it falling into the water.
And who did you see hitting it?
Bobby.
See when you were down the leaving?
Yeah.
Was it dark?
Yes. Do we have no street lights on there?
No street lights. Archie, do you want to tell us about Caroline? How did she get hit?
A metal pole. Because there was something metal in the eye.
Archie talks about Caroline getting metal in her eye and an injury being caused. Now, of course, we've heard from the pathologist who illustrated to the jury that there was such an injury, and the question would be, how would he know that?
How do you know? I thought you said you had your eyes closed.
I closed my eyes when the metal was in her eyes. When she got pushed in the water, I closed my eyes.
Why did Robbie push her in?
Because it felt like it should.
What kind of pole was it?
Metal pole.
Was it a big pole?
But the size of this room.
Uh-huh. Big long pole. Where did you get the pole?
Up my back.
And did you take it down with him?
Yeah, and they took it back up.
Did anybody else hit Caroline?
No, it's Bobby.
Archie?
I don't want to be here.
Right, go with through the Lord. All right.
It's difficult to know why more was not made of that film in the earlier investigation, but I suspect that the feeling was that overall the case fell just short of what would be sufficient. And we have to bear in mind that there's other key evidence which was not available at the time.
Thank you. Mr. Dogood, cross-examination.
Yes, please. Were you aware that the young boy had been interviewed by police officers on the 26th of August?
I was aware he had been interviewed before.
This document is a transcript of the interview, and perhaps could you put on the screen the part which starts, "Right, okay, do you know anybody called Robbie?" You can see on the screen it says, "Do you know anybody called Robbie?" The answer is nope. So did you know that the child you were interviewing had not been able to identify a person by the name of Robbie in an earlier interview?
No, I did not.
The child's evidence was given in 3 different formats. He'd spoken to his mother, he was video recorded on one occasion, he was audio recorded on another. Not all of the versions are consistent with one another.
It will be obvious from that transcript that Archie's evidence is at times confused, but in one sense that is to be expected of a 4.5-year-old boy. I just want to read some sections of it, and if I adopt the role of your colleague, would you adopt the role of Archie Wilson in the answers?
Yes.
Archie, did you tell Mummy a story about something that happened on Saturday night?
Uh-huh.
Can you tell me what happened?
Somebody died in the water.
And do you know how that happened?
Yeah.
Would you like to tell us?
Somebody flung boulders and that at her. I know who it was.
Do you? Would you like to tell me?
Andy.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You telling the truth? Right.
And I said that to my mummy and my aunt. It was the truth.
All right, thank you very much. It is, of course, a concern that a very young boy is giving evidence in a murder trial, and some people might think that a 4-year-old boy is not someone who can be relied upon.
It's something the jury have to consider. If they think a 4.5-year-old is inherently unreliable, and the fact that he has given 3 separate accounts proves that, then as judges they have to reject the evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Ranucci.
Right, Lord. Often, the Crown have only led part of a witness's evidence, and if there are any other aspects of their statement that you feel will be of assistance to the defence, part of my job will be to bring the rest of their evidence out in order often that the jury will have the full picture.
By the time you come to interview Archie, you have no idea what information he's been exposed to already, do you?
No, I don't.
No. And I think you'll agree that children, and particularly young children, they can be influenced by what they hear.
I suppose so, yes.
We all can.
Yeah.
Did it all make sense to you?
No, because it was an interview with a child.
Yes. And just to set it up, we can see if you turn to page 1. So who was watching you when Mummy was out? And it's his answer to that, I do this on my speedboat. He's not even answering the question that's been asked. He's distracted by some sort of a toy that he's got, a speedboat or something.
Yeah.
There's another reference to that, but then there's a question halfway down the page where it says what happened Saturday, and he says somebody died in the water. See that?
Yes.
But of course, this interview's taking place on the Monday. The information that someone had been found in the water and had died, that was in the public domain by the Sunday, wasn't it?
It would have been, yes.
Yes. And at the bottom, your colleague says, right, can you tell me how you know that happened? And he gives an answer to that.
He does, yeah.
Top of page 19. Because I saw it when I was with my Auntie Daisy. So by that point, he is now telling you that he knows this because that was something he saw when he was with his Auntie Daisy.
Yeah.
That didn't make sense, did it?
No.
No. And then if we turn over to page 21, there's a change of subject where your colleague says, Archie, can you tell me something? How did your mummy's carpet get all wet? And he says, because the boy fell in the water. When he's asked him, was anybody with him when he fell in? His answer's yeah, his pals. Guess who helped him out? See that?
Yeah.
And he says, me. So really, what he's saying there is that the pal that helped him out was 5-year-old Archie. Correct?
Yep.
Doesn't make any sense, does it?
Not particularly, no.
And then it carries on. At the bottom it says, see when Sarah Jane was in the house, yeah, she's the one that done it. See that?
Yeah.
And then he's asked, what did Sarah Jane do? What's his answer?
Don't know.
He's not making an awful lot of sense, is he?
No.
No. OK. Thank you, Mrs. Carpenter. I have no further questions.
Adjourn till 10:15 tomorrow morning.
It's really hard to sit and hear and listen. You're leaving these decisions to 15 people and they've got to sift through what's right, what's wrong, or what's truthful and what's not. I really don't know what the outcome will be. It's really hard to say. And at this stage, I think, getting into the second week, yeah, I'm scared. Because I don't know what's coming.